step.
You know what that gets you, right? You got your double thumbs up.
Are there like a lot of people missing from this program, Jay?
I don't know.
All right.
Jack, we're counting on you.
Are you up for trying this one?
I do what you told me to do.
That sounds
You know what, Jack? That's the spirit. Go along, get along. Just know that the master may guide us.
Now, what I'm wondering, I can't decide whether the second deer is like, if he's like cut in half. Like, is it, or is
That
it
would
just,
be.
or is it
I
just-
think that's true. Yeah, he might be cut in half.
you think he's like a
What was it you said, Trevor? You're wondering if the deer is
I'm wondering if the deer is like dead.
the first deer
The one deer.
or the second deer.
I think it is because the second
I think they're both dead.
You do.
See, I see one is running, being hunted.
Yeah, well, it's already hunted. There's 2 arrows in it. I think it's dead.
Exactly. And the other one is just zooming forward.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm a little scared because
Jack,
I haven't drawn this before. So
Jack, I agree. I see those 2 arrows on the underside of the deer.
I think.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah. Oh, seriously. Oh dear. Oh dear is right. Well, let me move this over. So Jack, I think you remember. I don't know if Alex remembers this, but there is a like a style of drawing. They call it shadow drawing. And yeah, and so I think I'm gonna start this like a shadow drawing. Now, I don't think that this is the way the artist did it, but we don't have a whole lot of information to go on. So I'm just gonna start with that shadow drawing method. So I'm gonna start with the head. So I'm gonna start with the middle deer because he's complete. And I'm gonna basically build out that head. And then I'm gonna see the front of the nose into the snout. And I can tell that the snout is like a trapezoid. So I'm just like filling in the trapezoid. And then there's a jawbone. And the jawbone is gonna like head down the length of the neck. So now, like, I'm basically going to keep shading the neck until it looks like it's kind of wide enough. Whew. And I'm also keeping a tab on who's in the waiting room potentially. Alex, hope you're there. Hope you can see this. I know from drawing horses and from drawing deer, for that matter, is the top corner of the head. That's where the ears come out. So I think I'm going to do one ear, and then I'm going to start the main structural element of the antler on the right. So it's kind of like you can almost think about them like tree branches or like a stream on a river, but the main structure, the trunk of the horn is curved. And it looks like there's 2, I can't tell if this is the other antler or not, but there's 2 curved, these almost look like ibex horns or like baby goat horns.
Ah,
You see those?
yes, they do. Yeah, they definitely do.
Then there's a long one right in the middle. And each one seems to like kind of have a transition. There's the curved spike, and then it like the base of a tree, it kind of curves transitions into the main horn. The main trunk of the horn gets to a point where it splits, and I see it splitting into thirds. 1, 2, and then the longest split is towards the top. The cool thing about drawing these is that if you make the antlers like way too big, it'll just make it look more impressive. And,
Right.
I don't know if it's a misprint in the book or whether it was something that was painted on the antler or on, on the wall, but this one feels like it has a little cap on it. I'm not trying to draw a deer. I'm trying to just like analyze what these I don't even know if cavemen is accurate, but these certainly very ancient peoples, their marks that they made on the wall, and that little dot on there, after tens of thousands of years, who knows what its meaning is. So if you want to leave it off and make yours look more like a natural deer, do that. If you want to put it on to kind of stay quote unquote historically accurate, and that's fine too. Okay. That's the main one, the one on the right. And then this one, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So this, the trunk of the antlers that are on the left, it looks almost like a unicorn horn. If you see the horn in relationship to the head, it seems like it comes straight out of the head for a while. And
Interesting.
Right when it gets, would be like too long for a unicorn antler, it turns into a deer antler. And for my money, I'm trying to keep it on the page as well. It made that nice Y shape. Has a nice transition, and then there seems to be two smaller hooks coming off of that. Cool.
I'm loving how branch-like, as you stated, this is.
Yeah, it looks like the deer has a yellow lamp attached to it. If you look at the screen, it's funny.
A yellow, oh. Yes.
For all of the ancient, as old as these pictures are, there really is a sensitivity to the anatomy and of observational drawing. So there's this really beautiful notch where the neck transitions. It's like this little bump which kind of represents the scapula. As the base of the neck and the scapula of the upper back kind of transition into the rib cage. So I'm going to do my next arch, and I'm attempting to follow the spine. I found that's a relatively safe way to start building out anatomy from animals. Head down the neck into the base of the top of the torso of the rib cage, running down the rib cage and then entering into the pelvis. And at the base of the pelvis is of course the tail. What's below the pelvis? Well, gluteus maximus, and that arc becomes the bottom of the pelvis and the top of the back of the thigh. So here we go. I'm going to zoom out for the sake of art. I have to zoom out, but actually, yeah, I'll zoom back in. We'll add the legs when the time comes. I'm going to fill out the body now. This is the fun part when you get the feel of shadow drawing, where you can just gently keep adding. And if it looks too skinny, if I do the bottom of the rib cage and he looks too skinny, I can just add more. Always trying to pay attention to the silhouette and the shape as a solid mass. It's a good art training skill.
Some of these mark making, for instance, the forward right hoof makes me think of hocus.
I'm teaching. What's up there?
Zoe Gersman's calling about art again.
Oh, Zoe? What about it?
I don't know. She just has a lot of questions.
Okay.
Should I tell her to call you later?
Tell her that I will be free at 2:45 And if you could grab that phone number, that would be great.
Yeah, sorry.
No, Caitlin, I appreciate it. Oh, that was the wrong move. That video. Not time lapse. In. And I don't think we'll do both. Maybe we'll do both. We should do the running hunter. But even if we don't do both, I do want you to pay attention to the legs of the bottom deer. I think the legs of the bottom deer are actually a little bit more accurate. And it's interesting because the arms, the upper arms, the anatomy of the bone structure of these mammals follows our own. So in the torso up here, I'm just going to draw the circle up here. Up here, there's the scapula, and then there's like basically shoulder to elbow, which is covered by the rib cage. So where the legs really begin, where they extend from the body, is starting from the elbow. So I'm going to just draw a little box for the elbow. And I might even put like a little bump where, you know, the elbow bone is. And then from there, it's actually, if you follow your own arm down, it makes a whole lot of sense. You just have to imagine your hand as one fused finger. So you just have to bear with me. So then the first one is shoulder to elbow. And then the next one that comes out of the body is elbow to wrist. So think about your own elbow. You've got your forearms, which makes a sizable muscle. You know, the egg shape of your forearm. And then it gets smaller at the wrist. Then you get your wrist. So from there, we're going to draw another circle, call it an egg. So it's elbow to wrist. And then that wrist goes to wrist to knuckle. So that's the next one. You can make that a pinched hourglass form. Wrist to knuckle. And then you get knuckle to your fingertips. So that'll be the next one. It's even smaller. And then at the very end, you get your toenails or your fingernails. So I'm going to just mark it here. It goes elbow to wrist, wrist to knuckles, knuckles to fingertips. And then you get the nails. So let's just try and repeat that. So we'll go elbow, forearm to wrist. I'm going to draw an egg for the wrist, wrist to knuckles, knuckles to the ball of the foot, and then a nail. I kept seeing ball. Yeah, question. I didn't mean to say foot. I meant to say fingernails.
So, I came in a little late because my water spilled.
Oh no.
So, I missed how to make this. So, you want me to just skip it? Either way, I didn't have an interest in this one.
Okay. Do you wanna start with the want to try the figure at the top?
Yeah, sure.
I'm about to start him. Okay, let me move this over. Yeah, let me start this guy real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna do the legs, and I might angle them a little bit so if it can fit on. No. All right, so Jack, if you're doing this one, we go, it's a similar kind of thing where the elbow is the first thing that pops out of the body. And in the legs, it's the knee. So it goes rear end to knee, and it goes knee to ankle. I'm gonna put a ball at the ankle, ankle to the ball of the foot. And then ball of the foot gets you a toenail, a toe to the toenail. And I curved mine a little bit. So it goes from knee at the bottom down to the ankle, ankle to the ball of the foot, little teeny finger, and then the toenail. All right, so the figure should be on the easier side as long as you just like name all the stuff. So Alex, if you started, great. If not, that's okay too. So I'm gonna draw them up here. I'm gonna start with a circle for the head. I just like filling in, a circle. So it sounds super easy, but it kind of is. And then you want to add a little neck. So it goes head to neck. And then we'll get the rib cage of this guy. So we're going to basically turn this into almost like a paper doll. And the rib cage is wider at the top and it gets narrower at the waist. But this one gets really skinny. So we have to name the thing, which is the shoulder, the shoulders and the torso. But then we have to draw it, how this artist drew it, just for fun. So wide shoulders at top, narrows in, and then we can add 2 arms. So you would think that the anatomy would be there. So maybe it's like shoulder to the elbow, and then elbow down to the wrist. And then it looks like he's got a little hand and a thumb. But really, it almost feels like it's like one kind of arc. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see it. Because it was too far away. I think those details were just too far. Yes.
Nice.
I'm going to start again. I mean, it's only a stick figure, so it didn't go very far. All right, so I'm going to do the circle for the head with a little neck. And we get the wide shoulders. I'm just calling it a triangle. And then it does look like there's a little bit of a shoulder before you get into the biceps. And then there is a little bend at the elbow, slightly. And then there's a hand that's attached to it. It looks like a little mitten. And a little thumb. I didn't talk about the hair, but my God, I'm looking at it now. It looks like there's bangs up here. It looks like the hairstyle even like angles up, like there's some kind of decorative element, or it could be a ponytail. Not much of a face, meaning it's just like kind of a solid curve. There's also a really interesting relationship between the spear and the arm. So if I make this arch, it almost feels like, and you guys can interpret this too, like I would love to get your feedback on it. I'm going to say that the arm is kind of small. Oh, wait. I'm wondering if there's like a, sorry.
Oh, you have money in the Venmo transfer? Okay.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it said, I love you. Didn't
No,
it
that
say-
was just the message name.
Well, that's
said I
actually the meaning of the money in Venmo means I love you.
I know. Oh, she goes, I think you have money in Venmo to transfer. Okay.
It's code for I love you. That was the
Why did I see I love you? Oh, because I took
Because her name is has hearts on it.
I know I took the I and I replaced the think with a heart and then you. So I interpreted it as I love you. That's a little sad.
No, it's so sweet.
Yeah, if that's what she actually said.
Of course she did.
So have you guys ever seen how you can have a you can have like a shield and there's like a strap that you put your hand through and there's a strap, there's a grip for your hand to hold it, and there's also a strap. I'm wondering if I'll show you what I mean. So like I'm wondering if this is like the strap and then the hand goes behind the strap and then is holding on to the spear. Like almost imagine if there was like a shield here. I like that idea. I doubt that's what it is, but I'm just interpreting it. I like the sword and shield kind of combo. And then what do you think this is up here? Another spearhead? So the legs honestly are very good. When the leg's in full stride, you get the muscles of the pelvis, which could be gluteus medius, could be gluteus maximus. Then you get the massive back thigh, which is basically hip to knee. It's curvier in the back with the hamstrings, straighter in the front. And then you get the knee block. So you can imagine that he's got maybe knee pads, maybe ankle high boots. Then you get this calf muscle leading into the ankle. And then you get a little ankle, and then you get the foot. Now, I find the foot not particularly intriguing, but that back leg is so good. And especially even the way that the leg enters into the body. It's just strange to have such a well-observed, almost like well-proportioned leg, and then have such a bizarre torso.
So
really
bizarre.
thin torso. So you come on this side, the thigh is thinner, but it still goes, I assume it's the right leg, but it goes that trapezoid from hip, which is solid, to knee. So leg is skinnier. And then the knee block is kind of defined by the boots, what I'm assuming is the boots. And again, I'm thinking shapes, but I'm thinking outside lines, but I'm shading in the shapes. And I probably should have kept the back leg. I was so impressed by that I didn't do that. But it is a good way of sketching this thing. This one has a full-blown heel. It's got an arch to the foot, and then it ends with the toe. And it's got a top. I mean, the silhouetted foot is really high quality. So it's there. It's like I feel like it's like all or nothing. It's like just a really well observed component, or it's just like, what are you even looking? It's hard to even tell what they're looking at. Okay. Well, I guess I kind of like the hair too.
I wonder if the coming out of the head would be a feather, dressing.
That's what I thought.
A headdress, yeah.
Yeah.
And a loincloth around the waist.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. This could be, look at this little, this could be like a tank top with tassels. Look at that thing. I missed that. Or it could be the, I mean, who knows? I didn't draw it very well. And then the head just like blends into the torso perfectly. Sweet. I don't know. I'm fascinated by this content. And the technique of shadow drawing is also really it's a good thing to practice. How did
Can you,
how I
excuse
drew-
me,
Yeah, sorry.
Trevor.
What's that?
Can you, are you doing the bottom, dear?
I don't think so. Should we?
Okay. Well, it is 1:33.
I feel like I'm a little over.
Yeah, can I see your drawing in its entirety?
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share?
Yeah, let's see
Yeah.
what we
Other
got.
question, Alex?
Did you like that one, Alex?
Oh,
Yes, you did.
yeah, by the looks of it, you did.
That one works better. Looks great, Alex.
Yes.
Jack, how about you? You got the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh, hold on, Jack. Oh, look at you over the columns, standing on a column. Bullseye,
Traveling through the ages.
bullseye. Well done. Well done. Trevor, what is the item that is almost like a U shape above the,
I mean,
Good.
I have no idea. I think that, I mean, Jack, I don't know if you were thinking about turning that into the target or whatever. It looks like it could be a different set of horns. It could, I don't know. I just, without seeing the actual wall, like this is somebody else's interpretation of the wall.
yeah,
This is, hopefully you can see this up here. It's Valtorta Gorge. I guess that's where it is. Hunter and Two Stags. You could probably Google it and find a high resolution image. The only reason I've been doing these cave renderings and not the original cave pictures because it's such an old book that the photos don't even look good. Okay. Gentlemen, let's switch gears a little bit. It is 1:35. So I think we'll have time. I think we'll have time to do what I was hoping to do, which is discuss. Let me mark this other page. I wanted to discuss the anatomy of the shell, and I think Stacy, what time are these other guys coming in?
140.
They're coming at 1:40, so it's only 1:35. Okay, we're gonna wait on the anatomy until everybody gets here. So we're gonna do some transition sketches, which should be really good. And then we'll get into the anatomy once everybody's here. So we got this new book, and it's basically a book of shells from America.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's full-blown North America, South America. I think it's both continents. And it's full of really, really good illustrations. And I thought we would just kind of go through these and just practice our mark making.
Sounds good.
Especially as the other guys come in, they'll be able to pick up relatively easily. And then we'll actually get into the anatomy of the shell, which is full of fresh terms. All right. So shape 1A is this one right here. Calcareous. C-A-L. Cal. C-A-R-E-O-U-S. Calcareous. Okay. You guys can write that down. I don't know why it says turbo. It'd be interesting to find out what that means.
Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
And then Stacy, if you can remind me to keep an eye on
Those coming in.
all the guys coming in. That'd be great. Do you think the pink is gonna work?
I can't see what you're looking at. I can only see, oh, sorry. I can't see the image you're looking at. I don't know, were you speaking to me or Stacy too?
So you don't see the various shells?
No, I only see your handsome face with your baseball cap backwards. Now I do, yes.
Oh God. Okay. That was freaking me out. All right, boys. Come on in. Grab your pencil. We are sketching some shells here in transition. We're going to do lowercase letter A to begin with. So get your pencils. This one, I have to admit, is the easiest one. So as long as you guys come in and please press mute. It's good to see you all. On your marks, get set, go. All right, so I'm making all my shells a little bit larger. And this one, I feel like the shape of it can't be any easier. It's like slightly oval instead of round. And then it's all about texture on this one. So you can actually see how the dots create kind of a crescent moon. So start where the dots are most infrequent. And I'm putting in like this C, a C shape, you know, not a like a backward letter C.
Like the shells are from the sea.
Well, not SEA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Do you want to check the waiting room?
the guys came on and then they got bumped off. I think Jack got bumped as well.
A lot of bumping going on.
I know. I can't see anybody. All right, here we go. I can see Stacy number 2. She's going strong over there. And so for those of you that are actively participating, the marks are kind of a lot. There's kind of a lot of them. And the risk that you run by using a lot of dots is to just like go too fast. And when I'm laying in dots, I try not to do rows. It's really easy to do rows. You want to actually do it in spirals. So as you lay the dots, spiral them. And as you spiral them, you don't want to go over the same spot twice. But as you spiral your dots, it's called stippling. You do a higher concentration on the right edge, and then you keep them, pretty light or less numbered as you get to the center. And that is going to help suggest that both texture and form. It's actually really nice. It seems it seems so simple, but when it's drawn from nature, it really takes on a new level of beauty. And all we did was draw a circle and add dots. It's quite the thing.
Did you say Stacy is keeping an eye on the waiting room?
Yeah, I'm checking, but thank you.
Okay.
All we've got is Alex's and Stacy's.
Okay.
And one of the Stacy's might be a little spacey.
I don't understand that comment, nor will I pay attention to that comment?
I'm not talking to you, Stace.
Of course not.
Did anybody call you Spacey Stacy?
So can you repeat the name that you said, and then you said the word turbo?
Oh God. It's called calcareous. Calcareous. Calcareous.
Thank you. And the answer to that is yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It's okay.
Okay, so heads up, gentlemen, A and B are exactly the same, which I had not realized. So there's a little dotted line connecting them, which is amazing, actually. So as whatever shape you used for the first one, the one that's got all these dots, try to make the exact same shape and the exact same size. Oh man, mine's a little smaller. It's a bummer. It doesn't really matter. But then from there, you've got to get the spiral out. And that's not as easy as it looks. It really was not as easy. It starts small and then you want it to gradually get bigger. And then where we only had stippling in the first image, the second image has, at least 2 more marks. So we could probably even call it 3 more marks, in that the spiral.
Nice show.
Guys, some of you guys that are just coming in, Brendan, will you mute that, Brendan?
That has been disabled by your admin.
Sorry.
144.
Oh, good. No, thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll get Henry through the door. Brendan and Henry, we're starting number B. It's not B, it's the second one, but it's the letter B. And A and B in the image are actually the exact same shell, which I did not even realize. So the first one had a bunch of where the dots were.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
good to see you, dude. So I basically drew a circle with a bunch of dots on the right side of it. The second one, I drew the exact same circle, and then I added a spiral and then 2 other marks. And the second mark, which I think is kind of the most exciting, is the angle, which helps to describe like the growth of the shell. So it almost gives it movement. It almost feels like the shell is spiraling because of the angle of these grooves. And these are in fact grooves.
The other thing that's really interesting,
Yeah.
the stippling that we did on A is the nearly center part of the B that we're doing.
Sorry, I had to mute Liam. What'd you say?
The stippling that we did in the A shell
Yeah.
is also the, let's say, nearly center of the part of the B shell. It starts with the stippling on the innermost,
Nice.
innermost part of the shell.
Yes, it does. Okay, so yeah, Stacey was saying that like some of the stippling, you can start from this center and you stipple outwards and it spirals. So you don't want the stippling to go over the lines that you made for the grooves. So you just kind of want to space it out. I could probably be drawing this like so much faster. I mean, I'm kind of getting good at it. Let me draw B again for some of you guys that just came in. We're doing B, which is right here. And we drew a circle or an oval. Then we found where the center was, which is in the lower left-hand portion. And then we spiral. Did I add an extra spiral? I added an extra one. Yes. I'm so glad I did. Let me let Charlie in here. Cool. And then what you have to do is you start from the center again, and you basically build these grooves, these angled grooves that are the growth pattern of the shell, but they almost seem to give the shell movement. And then,
Yeah,
after, and
really
then
do.
after those spirals, then you can add some stippling. And I think the main point of stippling is to like not stipple in the same spot twice and then not stipple where you have straight lines. Cool. All right,
Is
sweet.
there something being shown that I did not see?
Yeah, and if you guys finished any of your shells, Stacy is there to take some pics. I'm going to, since we don't have all day, let's switch over to E. And that is the ungulate. Ungulate. I don't know these shells. So gentlemen, I got this shell book to teach myself shells. These are all shells from North America. All right, so this one, it seems like they have all these radiating lines that come from this central point. So there's a central tip, and I feel like it's almost like a tree trunk in that it just keeps growing rings the older it gets. So maybe that's not a bad place to start. So if I start from this very center, you can almost imagine the rings, like each year it would grow a little bit more. So it grows out in the shape of a V, like a curving V. And then the end is like a teardrop. And in a way, I'm saying teardrop, but it's also more like a fingernail. Like, you know how your fingernails are like rounded? It's almost like each year this shell grows like an extra fingernail. They just keep stacking and stacking. So I'm gonna go, this is the smallest shell is from the very beginning. And then it's gonna make another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another. And then I'll finally get to this one, which is up this way. That's how I'm thinking about it. And I actually don't know the natural growth patterns that exist with these shells. I'm going to read about it, but that seems to be how it's constructed. At least that's how I'm constructing the drawing. So I'm starting with this little teeny oval down here, and then I'm just like boomeranging. You know, you'd almost like imagine it that like the cycle is like a boomerang. So it comes up and then it wraps back. And it comes up and it wraps back. Now in between those, there are little smaller, less significant grooves, which might be like shorter growth spurts in the ridges of this ungulate. It's called an ungulate. All these are new terms. I usually teach the things that I'm interested in. So I am very much in uncharted waters with these shells. Would you like
Funny,
to say
funny. That was good. I did.
Um,
Was
the
that
side-
plan?
The sides seem to have like some straight lines. If there are any straight lines, I'm seeing them on the side ridges. It's kind of pretty, really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna do another ungulate over here because I feel like it's a similar growth pattern. It's this. I'm gonna go to G. Let's flip over and go to G. What's that called? It's called the concentric and coronius. Corneus. It's the coronavirus shell. Just kidding. It's not. But we're going to build it similarly. Instead of having this like gorgeous teardrop shape or that ungulate, we're going to make it almost like it's you can almost like imagine like it's a pebble in a pond that like came in at an angle. So again, I'm going to start from the center, and it's in this lower part, and then it's going to radiate up and come back almost to the same connection at the bottom. I'm going to spiral up and back, trying to even out the spacing in between these growth rings. So pretty. I'm really freaking out how I've never drawn these before. So this is the first time I've ever drawn this. I'm attempting to try, it's almost like a racetrack too, if you think about it. Like inner part, outer part, inner part, outer part. You could like think about the way that racetracks are stacked. So you go like this. That's the inner one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, depending on the distance, that's why they're all have different starting points because they have different radiuses. Different circumferences, sorry. different circumference. All right, here we go. Get the next one. And then maybe I'll do one more. And this could go on forever. I mean, the shell might be just huge, all these years of growth. So those are the rings, and then we get the subsequent little smaller ridges on the inside, like we did on the other one. Man, so good. Again, this is called a corneus, C-O-R-N-E-U-S, corneus. Concentric or a corneus. And the kind of like the finale, I think from this set at least, will be letter F. And there's an ancient disc that has coded language in it, and no one can actually translate it. They think it has something to do with the cycles of the planets and whatever, constellations and things, but it's designed in a communication that goes from the center and it wraps all the way around to the outside. And I've never associated it, and I haven't fully studied that piece, but I've known about it since art school and since art history in like the 90s. And I'm wondering if it was based on the arrangement of this shell, the letter F. And so there's probably a million different ways that you could do this. It almost looks like a spiral from a like a candy cane, or like a lollipop, like one of those huge lollipops that are like cliche. I'm going to draw it a couple different ways. The first way, I'm just going to start from the center. And then I guess I'm just going to build out. I think I screwed it up already. How would that work? Not as easy as it looks. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. So it curves. Okay, there it goes. And then like a centipede, it's just going to spiral out. And I think the trick for you, the artist, is to keep the borders, the same thickness all the way around. You ever seen those like little centipedes that sleep under rocks?
Mm-hmm.
And then just like the shell that we did in the beginning, there are grooves. There are little grooves that almost seem to indicate the growth pattern and the cylindrical nature of this type of shell. And I actually even like mine better. Maybe because it's a little bit bigger, is that it looks good. Spiral out all the way here. Okay, this one is called F. Multi-spiral corneus. Multi-spiral corneus. Multi-spiral. It's a fitting name. Groovy. All right. We just drew 3 shells. Did you guys keep up? Am I going too fast?
May I see your first shells, Trevor?
Yeah.
Before you move on, if you don't mind. And it is 156.
Right.
Yes, thank you. And the others, if you don't mind.
Don't mind at all.
And if you could bring those up just a skosh, a little bit more. Yep, there you go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody got their shells? Can I see some shells? I got my favorite kombucha.
I
drink.
joined late and I'm pretty bad, but I got
Alright.
this.
Let's see, Henry.
Nice, Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
spiral one was not easy. The spiral one,
spiral.
it was like it was all one line. That's a nice page. These are good pages, guys.
Thank you.
I like that straight aligned on a straight line. There's something about like a nice order, either stacked or side by side. Both of them are really nice arrangements. Cool. Yeah, it's kind of a combination of these, of like what they did in the book. Excellent. The last one I do want to do is D, and the only reason I want to do this D is because there's an ancient. It's like it reminds me of the shape of a horn, and it also, if you do mirror images of these shells, there's a ancient architectural capital that was used in like in ancient times, which was a representation of Noah parting the Red Sea. I'll show you what it's. So it's this one. So imagine if you were to make an architectural capital. So we're going to do. Have you ever seen like Ionic columns? We have a column like this, and it's got a hat on it, and then these become floral, and then and then the column comes down here. And then there's might be some flowers or some decorative, some decorative stuff. But these are really like scrolls in Ionic columns. But there's another kind that really feel like waves. And I don't have an example. I guess I could dig through my phone. Either way, I want to draw this shell, D. I want to draw the base, and then we're going to do the spiral all the way to here, and then we're going to do it to the right, and then we're going to do it to the left. And then we'll be done with this page. All right. So I'm going to start with the base, and this is where like the organism kind of lives. So there's like the curved bottom. And then you do the wave. So the wave arcs up, and then it spirals into the center here. It's just cool. And then you can see the growth grooves in the shell, and they follow almost like the crashing of that wave. So there's that guy. Follow the same formula. Do the rounded bottom, the rounded base. We want to kind of make both these shells close to about the same size. Rounded base. Then it's going to arc up and spiral in. And then the wave, again, we're following the crash of the wave as we enter the grooves. And then if you put like a rectangle base at the bottom and then a flat top up here, you have your, and I think in the center they had, I think they had a sun. There's like a sun in the center of it. So then this becomes, this is the Red Sea, one wave being parted on this side, one wave being parted on here, and then, Moses would be in the middle with his staff. Just a powerful symbol, and how an example of how you can turn nature into architecture. And then not only have it be nature and architecture, but also have like, cultural significance as well. Okay, good. That was good. Stace, did you get to sketch that?
I sketched 3. I was able to do 3 of the shells.
Can I see
I
yours?
did not do the capital, top of the capital.
That's okay.
And it is 2 o'clock on the nose.
Cool. So we've got the first group for another 10 mins. Let's try. Let's see here. I want to see some of those shells in action.
Oh, wow. So for those of you who maybe have been or are able to join us for any part of the summer, you'll see in camp in the studio, Trevor has he has a drawer full of real shells that are just spectacular. The shapes, the colors, sizes,
Shells.
they're wonderful.
Okay. So here's a little follow-up, and we got many more shells. We got lots more time. Sorry, Brendan. Did you have a question? Just wanted to annotate. All right. I guess there's two things that are going on. One is the blue spiral, and then you have the red spotted spiral. And I don't know if we have any colored pencils, but I think I'm going to use a textural difference. So here we go. Let's give this one a shot. This one feels very, very like round. I don't know if my other ones were the other ones weren't from the very center spiraling out. This one, I think, Brendan, hi. Did you have a question? No. I will go beneath your high symbol. All right, so everybody start with a point. And then, hold on, let me just do this.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good, dude. I'm just gonna clear it. Okay, clear drawings. Got it. Okay, so we've got to come up with a textural difference between the blue stripe and the rest of the stripe. So if you guys were a little bit didn't quite know what to do, I'm almost gonna draw I don't know, I keep thinking like a snake, like the blue line feels like a snake to me. So if I start from the center and I curve out, I just kind of want to wrap. Is this how it's done?
Wow, I'm already
It's dizzying.
yes, dizzying is the word.
So I'm
It
trying
really is.
to draw the blue spiral. And frankly, it gets easier the closer you get. I mean, excuse me, the further you get from the center.
Honest engine.
So here we go. I screwed it up so much that instead of drawing blue, I'm going to make it solid. So I'm going to take, that works better. I wanted to, maybe I'll add stripes to it with an eraser. And gentlemen, I think if you spiral out from the center, you can make it, you basically make your shell as big as the spiral that you want. You know, I'll probably end mine as we get close to the edge of the screen. But by following the blue, then we can decorate everything that's in between the blue borders.
So what I have found that you were doing, Trevor,
Yeah.
and because I haven't been looking and drawing and lifting my head and drawing and lifting my head, I kind of got stuck in my own.
And you got
thinking.
stuck in your own drawing.
Yes, and so I wasn't making my line work thick enough. And the minute I started to really look at your drawing in the shell, I was able to see how important that there be some thickness to that line work.
Well, I started without the thickness, and then I was doing left side, right side, left side, right side, and then I screwed it up so many times that I decided just to fill it in because I thought it'd be easier.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're like working from nature, and we're also developing our own like drawing skills. So you have to make marks that look like something, and it's weird because you look at a shell and you're like, this isn't complicated, this is easy. And it's like, well, then why then why can't we draw it very well? It's just not as easy as I might think. I'm gonna add another row. I'm gonna add a thinner line in between my whole snake. And I'm going off of just something that I see. There's so much going on in that shell that you have to just pick out something and go with it. So I'm going to add a middle thinner line. I'm going to close it off here. I'm seeing this pattern of red to white, red to white, red to white, which I think is also very beautiful. So I think I might add one of those. So if I start on the outside, I can go light, dark, light, dark, light gap, dark, light spot, dark spot, light spot, dark spot. So I'm getting the sense of almost like a checkerboard.
It's like a checkerboard. And it's not, this makes me think of a snail shell.
Yeah. I mean, snails probably grow at very similar patterns. But the fun thing is that this is where you can kind of make it your own shell. That there's probably 10 different people that can make this 10 different ways. So I'm going to do another series of dots, but instead of coloring them in, I'm going to make them like, almost like, how you have like little hatch marks. Almost like you have like when you're learning how to draw or learning how to like do letters, you have the top line and the bottom line. You can be like T-R-E-V-O-R. Your cursive line, so you have a dark top line and then you have a dash in the middle. I'm going to create that dash.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice variation. Almost looks like a road on the highway too.
It is 210.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I don't think there's much more I can do with this. I mean, if I had colors, maybe.
Yeah.
But I did this. So what happened was I wound up getting 3 separate spirals. So gentlemen, if you watch this, I have a dark line which started from the center, spiraled out. Then my next row was a spotted row. So it was like light spot, dark spot, light spot, dark spot. That was like kind of the combination. And then the next row it was just like I was drawing a a practice handwriting page. And I have to admit, I did not see my design in these terms, but wow, what an amazing combo. And it all started from this dark line spiraling out. And as many different patterns as you can come up with is as many different shells as you can do. There's an infinite, it's absolutely infinite. Cool.
May we have a warning?
Yeah, so it's 212. I think we might be losing a couple guys. But gentlemen, there's a Gilman only class on Tuesday. It meets at 4 o'clock. It goes from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So even though this is the last day of the Gilman Sketch Club at school, we have one after school on Tuesdays. So it's a good group, and it's been going for over a year now. And the progress of everybody's work is it's been really interesting to watch, along with everybody that's been in this group as well. So class doesn't have to end today if you don't want it to.
Does anyone want to share any art?
I'm wondering if I should turn these into little arrows. Would that look good?
Ah, so you're going back to the deer design.
Good call. Yeah, combining the cave paintings with the natural shell observations. And the next pattern will not be a spiral. It will be a radiating line pattern. I'll show you what I mean. One more minute. Hopefully go too fast, and hopefully you could come up with, if you're running out of time. I mean, if you finished early, you could invent more patterns. I mean, that shell I just made, I'm obsessed with it. I love it. He's so little. There's these other little guys too. I think that's what I based it off of, that little guy. And I think this particular type, does spiral counterclockwise. And I had not realized that either. Or I guess they spiral clockwise because they start from small and they get big. All right. Ooh, don't knock over that. Wow. That page is amazing.
Yeah, I keep losing my way with this. What I was thinking was like a snail shell.
Well, that's interesting. They do those upside down. I thought I marked the page. Oyster shells. Oof, love those oysters. Here we go. All right.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I like how they set them up as mirror images of each other. That's gorgeous. This letter E. Oh, is it the front and the back? It is the front and the back. Just some next level stuff, boys. All right. Here we go. I got to get a little firm backing here. All right, so for me personally, this is one of my favorite shells of all time. And I think it's because it just reminds me of the morning sun, like reminds me of a sunrise. It could be a sunset. I don't think it really matters. It's more just like the dramatic radiating sun, and kind of the glory and the power of the sun. So where we're going to start this piece is going to be at this conjunction, which is not a 45-degree angle. It's close to a 45-degree angle. It's a little bit broader. And then the other thing that's interesting about our starting point is that it's actually not a straight line. It is a gradual curve. So I guess they may start a little bit straight, but then it like curves down, and you know it like slants downwards. And I love that it kind of looks like a that actually looks like a bird. And it's not as easy because, you know, it's so light from this example. And then from there is the next thing we want to do is draw a very long, thin, very delicate triangle. And believe it or not, what this triangle represents is the concavity. It is a downwards bowl shape. It's the space between the yellows. So it's the dark center. Am I drawing too big? Totally drawing too big. I'm gonna have to roll. I'm gonna have to do it. I hate to waste that piece of paper. I'll come back to it. Guys, I was drawing too big, so let me put this back. Okay, starting again, we're gonna start at the bottom, and this is the base. I'm gonna try and draw a lot smaller. Then we gotta get this very fine line, which is going to represent the very middle of our shell. This is the center line. This is the center line of our shell, and the center line of our shell is wider at the top, and it basically disappears into nothing as it approaches the very bottom of the shell. And this is the place where you have to start. Then from here, you're basically attempting to draw triangles that get smaller as they go down the side. So let's just draw where these triangular ribs are going to go. You get this, it's a fan shape. And there's nothing I can do about this paper because I can't really draw any smaller.
Okay.
So either you can think about the space between, which is what I just drew, and I had you draw the space between first because it's the hardest one to think of. So you can actually put little bowl-shaped curves in there. And then the ones that are easy to see are the yellow ones. And they're thicker, they're bigger cheese wedge shapes. So let's just start with a large yellow triangle on the right, and then a large yellow triangle on the left. And they get so small as they disappear in. So in between each one of the yellows is a dark. So we're going to build the gap between our yellow shell ripples. So the nice thing is once you get the small dark one, then you can start to add a large yellow. Small dark, large yellow. And I was saying triangles, and they are triangles, meaning they have like 3 sides, but they are gently curved. So that's where I'm trying to show like there's a bend. Dark yellow, excuse me, dark, a dark gap, and then a large yellow. dark gap, which is smaller, and then a large yellow. And you can think about them as little pieces of cheese, like the finest little slice of cheese. And I didn't I didn't follow the curvature. The first curvature is so important. You know, the silhouetted edge of your shell. So pretty. So apparently with shells, it's like the same thing. You just have to repeat it over and over again. And then they're all trying to meet at this same center. It's so interesting that they must all grow out from there. Because in one sense, I'm thinking about them trying to get to the center because that's where my line is trying to go. But that's where they're all growing from. So it's almost like a plant and its root system. Mm. And, you know, drawing these from life is so much more satisfying. But honestly, the book is very well photographed. And, oh, look at the little yellow. I don't know, can you see that there's little horizontal striations? Look at this little arc. There's this little
Mhm.
light set that runs all the way through. So it must be part of the growth pattern. You know, like we did the rings very early on in those graphic sketches. That, you know, the age comes from the distance away from the center. And this piece is symmetrical. So we try to get the thin dark triangle in between the large yellow triangle. Thin dark triangle, large yellow. Thin dark, large yellow. Wow, beautiful. So that's like the fan portion, and you can tidy it up. I mean, I'm seeing like a little bit more contrast. I can add some of the dark creases, especially as we get down the side, you know, shading in those dark triangles, adding the really light horizontal marks inside the yellow ones. I hope you guys like this. Like, I mean, it's hard to tell. The way that they connect, there's, you know, the muscles, that the flat surface that the muscle holds the shell together. I mean, the whole thing is a muscle, but there's a contact point between the outer shell and the inner shell. I mean, both, you know, the one side to the other. And that surface area is this little triangle that's down here. Somebody's got to know what that shape is. You know what it's called in the shell world. I'm trying to go for symmetry. Beautiful.
Mhm.
And I think it's okay. You know, some of the the dark triangles run in. I mean, you get to a point where your pencil is only so small. And perhaps instead of adding more pencil marks, maybe it's better if I, erase. And this is where I'm actually thinking of the sun. I mean, imagine the sun over the horizon, peeking over that little mountain valley, shooting that light out. I could have moved this over a little bit. Whoa. I just said whoa because I was thinking, what if we did the same, we're not going to do it again, but I was imagining if we did the purple one that's underneath it, just did it upside down, see how hard it is.
Yeah, that would be
If
really
we
cool.
had all day, we could do that. If this was a college course, I would make you do it, but you guys aren't in college yet, so I feel like this is hard enough. I saw another one that is like, might be easier. We probably should have started with this other one that I'm looking at. Let's do that one. All right. So,
Wait a minute.
No. We're going to take a warning. I'm going to give a 2-minute warning on this one.
Great. You got me all nervous, Trevor.
I know. I'm trying to pay attention. I'm trying to be nice these days.
Well, that 2-minute warning.
I always wasn't nice. I'm trying hard.
Well, I appreciate it. And
So this is just for fun. You guys don't have to draw this one. I'm just sampling the purple. Trying to see what that would look like. There's some really pretty patterns on there. Yeah, the purple one, I guess it's the opposite side of this one. So where the thin dark ridges up above are thin. The dark ridges are thin and the light ridges are large. If it's the opposite side, looking at the purple underneath, it looks as though the cylindrical ridges get larger. And the gaps between are the flat parts. I like that.
Just making sure you aren't drawing another shell next time, right?
Like next class or after this?
After this.
You want to draw something else?
Yeah.
All right.
yeah. Do you want to show your shell before we move on?
I haven't been working on that shell.
Okay. Were you working on anything else you might want to show? Or were you just
Yeah,
chilling?
hold on, I gotta turn off my background first.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
None.
Nice hat, by the way. Oh,
Thanks.
I have some shells.
yeah. You've got some shells going on there.
It's great, dude. Henry,
Nice.
is that Brendan?
Yes, Brendan.
That you should
Can't
publish
see
that
that
paper.
really well with your, I guess, your background, maybe your screen saver, not screensaver, your background. I can't.
Background.
Yes, thank you. Can
Oh, you
you
got-
change that? Now let's take a
That
look.
paper was ripped a little bit because I was ripping something out of the paper.
No,
Are you guys
Brendan.
I tried drawing a 3D building too.
nice?
Nice.
We did an architecture piece last week. It was pretty good.
And hold that nice and still. Thank you. Oh my goodness. And down a little, I want to get that building. Good, right there.
Press X so you can see how much.
Thank you. Thank you. And Trevor, it's 2:32.
Okay, yeah, it's perfect timing for the deer hunt.
Bye-bye.
The
friends.
prehistoric
Take
deer
care.
hunt.
Oh wait, are we drawing something else that's not a shell?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yay!
we're drawing a prehistoric deer hunt.
We're drawing
Yeah.
something that's not a shell.
Stay with us,
I have
Brenda.
no clue. Ooh, we're drawing a deer.
Yes, it's the only
you
problem
drawing?
is the deer
Chase,
is
you drawing? Woohoo! We're drawing something that's not.
I'm sorry that the shell was so torturous. I did not mean for it to be.
It wasn't. It was just getting old.
Speaking of torture, here's this poor deer. I think this deer is still alive. All right, here we go. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit. All right,
Well, you know what I would say.
cool. What would you say, Stace?
Oh dear.
I get it.
I know you get it.
All right, boys. Well, this piece is like 30,000 years old, which, you know, whether you're a deer hunter or not, it's still just like a staggering number. It's just a staggering. I mean, that's how they dated it. It's fascinating to me. How can I do it? Let me do it over here. Oh, I'll use that blue sheet that I thought I was going to waste before. All right, cool. So one of the things that I would recommend, gentlemen, is starting with the head, and we'll try to build the body off of that. We'll try to name as much as we can, thinking about straight lines and curved lines. So the poor deer is like looking backwards. So if you start with the nose, angling up, we'll have the nose come down from the snout. And then the poor thing, he's like sticking his tongue out. But that actually helps us determine the difference between the, where the nose and the upper lip is from the lower lip and the jaw. The eyes are closed. So it's like classic, closed eyes, which is basically an upside down smiley face. And we'll get the forehead. And then we've got to get kind of like where the head turns into the neck. It kind of turns down this way. And the reason that part is so important is because we got to get the antlers in there. So we're going to do a set of antlers on the left and a set of antlers on the right. How I wish.
What do you wish?
I just wish I would have left more room at the top. As far as antlers go, it's not that exciting, but the way that the antlers enter into the head kind of is. So one of the things that you want to pay attention to is the antlers on the left. There's an arc that runs this way. It hits the head, and then that same curve turns into the back of the neck. So that's actually really good. So you could say the same thing for, do you think this is I guess it's like the base of an antler as well. All right. So I need, as far as an artist goes, you've got to start calling things what they are. So the head is kind of separated from the neck along here. Now, you don't want to use that line necessarily, but the line you do want to use is one that separates the neck from the body. And the neck is thick, and it's an impressive neck. It's just not very long. As far as deer go, and maybe it's well insulated. This is probably like during the Ice Age. So it could have been a different species of deer than we're used to, like here in North America. So it's got like a thick, short, well-insulated neck, and it looks as though the face is actually dark. So you could actually shade the head a little bit if that helps. You can shade it with straight lines, or you can shade it with tone. Sometimes when you tone shapes, it helps you draw it better. It helps you see whether your neck is too long, too skinny. I would probably make this head not too skinny. If anything, make him stronger than he needs to be. The bottom is, I think, the easier part, but really it's like you get the chest where this guy, deer, horses, elephants, basically anything on two legs is always doing push-ups. So they're going to have super strong chest muscles. And the chest muscles are shown before the legs start. So as I come under here, yes, it's going into the belly, but really it's not the belly. Really, the part from the base of the neck to the legs is chest. And they've got huge pectorals. So for the legs, you can build these triangles for the thickness of the legs, and then they're going to, kind of taper down very quickly into these what are almost dinky feet. The hooves feel like they're very thin in terms of mark making, very small. If you wanted to, you could fill them in, so you could almost believe that this elk or this deer could traipse through the woods. This is the front legs. So I did the left one, and then I did the right one. So however you draw the left leg, you just want to repeat it. So you got the same shapes, from the elbow to wrist, wrist to knuckles, and then knuckles into the toenails. I'm happy with those front legs. Now this is kind of the fun part. Not the fun part. If you're a hunter, it's the fun part. There's there's an arrow, sticking out of this guy's chest, in between those legs. So that was, that definitely weakened him. If you hit him in the chest where he runs, he's not going to run as fast. It's not like it's a direct shot to the heart, straight through, like, you're attempting to do when you're deer hunting. Okay, those are the front legs. Let's see if we can follow the spine all the way back to the tail. Okay, so we're going to go 2 straight lines, 2 curved lines, and then a straight line. So follow me when I'm saying. We're going to start from the base of the neck. And if you think about your cat, cats have these scapula when they walk at you. You look at their back and one shoulder goes up, the other goes down. It's actually not their shoulders, it's actually their scapula. And it's the same thing with all 4-legged creatures. You see the first straight line here, second straight line, that represents, the where the spine is going, and then also, the shoulder blades. So those are the shoulder blades there. So those are our 2 straight lines, making like a little triangle shape. Then, if you've ever ridden a horse or sat on the back of a horse, the spine goes concave. So the rib cage from this part of the spine is a straight line down. And then as it gets to the hips, it's going to curve into gluteus medius. And then that spine that goes over through the pelvis is going to lead us down into the tail. So 1 straight line angled up, 1 straight line angled down, 1 curved line angled down for the middle of his back, and then the next curved line angling into the tail. And the tail is just the nice little triangle. I'm telling you, you wouldn't think that mankind 30,000 years ago was this in tune with anatomy, but he was. This artist knew this beast well, probably survived on it, and
Bye, Mr. Twist.
accurately depicting it was.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Hope we
See
see
you
you
guys.
again soon.
Did you finish this one? If anybody has to leave, when you say goodbye, just hold up your sketch, because I'm like, very, very interested to see it. All right, so we went from head all the way to the tail, which is awesome. Now we have to go from the legs back to the tail. So we're going to go around the bottom of the rib cage, basically seeing his belly and then that belly curves into the back leg. There seems to be a couple different angles for the back leg. It's almost like he got confused back there. But I'm looking for hooves. And I think that there might be a lot of blood, believe it or not. I think, if you can sketch these two legs loosely, there are spears hanging out all through the back, spears hanging out in the thighs, here spears hanging out of the rear end. There's two spears near the rib cage, near the heart, I should say. And so a lot of these mark makings that we're doing could be patterns on the deer. They could also be
We have it.
and maybe a lot of blood, actually.
Anybody here like to see a pic for my date test?
Wow. What do you think of this?
Probably no one got better next Sunday. Now I got the record.
Trevor, I have 243.
Okay, yeah, there's a 2-minute warning for everybody. Assuming that.
I have to go, but here's mine.
Henry, let's see it. Bro.
But here's mine.
Oh my God.
Oh, Henry.
Oh,
Thank you.
I wish we could continue that.
wow, Stacy. That Henry made it worth it.
Yes,
His drawing was awesome.
yes,
I
yeah.
wonder if his shell is as good.
I know, right?
You kind of see the shell in the background. I think he was the one that struggled with the shell.
Or he just was tired, literally was just tired of it.
Yeah, no, he was like, it got old. I was like, yeah, I can see that.
Right.
I mean, I'm so old. The more I do something, the deeper I go and the more interesting it is. It's just different for kids that are that age.
Yeah.
More projects, less depth. Cave paintings, that's where it's at. Cave paintings are really well done. I really did not realize that.
I know.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the record. I don't know how to do that.
Yes, you do.
Got to go to chess. Jack went to chess. Stop share. Record. Oh, I could have done it up here.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Stop
Trevor?
recording.